Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you once more with the program Consciousness in Evolution. That is a project from Reaprendência International and whose objective is to debate essential themes of conscienciology. Okay, so people, for the ones who doesn't know us, Reaprendência is a conscienciocentric institution dedicated to re-education and personal growth. We study bioenergies, parapsychism development, out of body experience, bioenergies, that is our theme today, okay, through the phytoenergies and multiple lives, and many other subjects related to self-evolution. So this is Reaprendência. And our program, Consciousness in Evolution, we are presenting lives twice a month, every first and third Sunday of the month. We bring a researcher to present a theme that is we are trying to bring you interesting topics. And in today's webinar, our guest is Roberto Leimig. He is a volunteer from CAEC and Consecutivos. Welcome, Roberto.
Hello, Eliane. Hello, everyone. Nice. It's very nice to stay with you here to discuss such kind of subject. I'm so glad to stay with you, and so thank you very much for this invitation.
Very good. Thank you, Roberto. So I'm going to present Roberto's resume, right? Roberto was born in Recife, in Brazil. He holds a bachelor's degree in biological science and also a master's degree in ecology. And he's currently a university professor in the areas of botany, ecology, evolution, environmental studies, and systematics. He started his conscienciology studies in 1991, became a volunteer in 1993, professor since 1996, Penta practitioner. He's also an author of the book Vidas de Naturalista, that is a naturalist lives. And he is an epicenter or epicon since 2017. As I told you, he currently is volunteer at CAEC and Consecutivos. So, welcome, Roberto. It's a great pleasure to have you here because I know that you are going to clarify us about this interesting topic that are the phytoenergies, okay? And just for us to start, I want to talk that when we study conscienciology, we also always learn that in the universe, there are two things. That is the consciousness and the energies. We are the consciousnesses, okay? Or the intelligent principle, the soul, the ego, the self. And besides us, the consciousnesses, we have the energies. And they are, as we were speaking before, and I want you to clarify the people that the energies are divided into consciential energies and immanent energies. And then we divided immanent energies in some types, like hydro energies, gel energies, zoo energy, aero energies, cosmic energies, and phytoenergies, for example. Is that division correct? Or how would you divide them? Are consciential energies a part of the something apart? Can you clarify us that just to start with?
Okay, Leanne, thank you for the introduction. So first of all, the energy and matter is the same thing, okay? So you have energy and consciousness. Energy and matter is basically the same, it's different way of manifestation. And talking about the energy, we have lots of kinds and way of manifestation of the energy. So you have some kinds that is more didactic to perceive, to get in touch, like phyto energy, zoo energy. It's part of our everyday life. So we can get in touch and make experiments to perceive, to understand better these kinds of energy. We have also, for example, hydro energy. We used to, since we are born, we get in touch with water. We need water every day. We need air to breathe. So, some kinds of energy we use to get in touch every day. So it's easy to perceive the extra physical side of these kinds of energies. So that's the main topic that I want to discuss with you today is the other side or the extra physical side of the energy of plants. But we have
Very
the other kinds of energy. So these different kinds of energy basically is the same. It's the energy of the universe, but sometimes depends on the place, depends on the conditions, get more dense or get more subtle. Like for example, geoenergy and cosmos energy. So this difference is very clear when you test, when you have an experiment to compare one and another. So if we start to repeat, to make lots of experiments, we identify these characteristics like density, like the temperature, for
very
example,
good.
like the parapsychical signals when we get in touch with them. So we have lots of possibilities to make
Very.
experiments. Okay.
I will share the slides, Roberto, and then you
Okay.
can start and clarify the things. So, people, you feel free to send us any question, okay?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
Roberto,
Okay. May I start? Okay. First of all, principle of disbelief. Don't believe in anything, even what I will say to you here. Try always to make your own experience. Okay. The main topic is that I wish to talk to you and discuss with you the definition of phytoenergy, the relation with bioenergetics, the other kinds of energies, the benefits to deal with the phytoenergy, the source, the different source to find out energy, this kind of energy in nature, phytoectoplasm and lignin, there is a hypothesis, the strong connection with lignin and the phytoectoplasm. Ectoplasm is the part or a kind of dense energy, the most dense energy of a being, of a living being. Then you can discuss some characteristics of this phytoectoplasm and some questions to reflect and discuss. Okay? Feel free to ask anytime. Can go on here. First of all, the definition of phytoenergy. Phytoenergy is a kind of energetic, immanent energy. So the immanent energy is the energy of the universe, as we had said before. We have consciousness and energy. The energy may express by different ways, by different kinds, depends on the place, depends on the conditions of temperature, of the kinds of consciousness, which is related with that kind of energy. So you have commons immanent energy like phytoenergy, zooenergy, cosmic or cosmos energy. We have also hydroenergy, linked to water, geoenergy linked to soil, and also, for example, the electrical or electromagnetism energy. Okay, so the phytoenergy comes from the Greek word that means phyto, plant or vegetable, and energeia or energeia, which means force of action. This kind of immanent energy is linked to the plants. But what is the plant? We consider here since algae, moss, ferns, herbs, shrubs, but especially trees. We used to make most of experiments I had always I did I made in the during my life and in research in conscienciology. I used to make experiments with trees. It's better because the quantity of energy, but also I had experiments. I had made experiments with ferns, with moss, with orchids. We have different kinds of plants. It's very interesting to compare the characteristics of this energy. So, especially also, we can do experiment in during the walk in the forest. I will explain to you a kinds of good experiment to make during a walk in the forest. Okay, if you have any question, feel free. Let's go on. So here we have some examples of the kinds of immanent energy, which I had said. The geoenergy linked to the rocks, tectonic plates, the hydroenergy, lots of environment with water, like lakes, rivers, the oceans, seas. We have also the rains. We have lots of possibility to contact, to make experiments with this kind of energy. We have also aero energy, not only in the air, but some manifestations of the climate, like for example tornadoes, cyclones. We have a different manifestation in the air. We have electrical energy. It's a kind of natural energy, even though the human can produce electrical energy, but also we have in a natural state, like for example the thunderbolts. We have also the zoo energy linked to the animals. It's a kind of really interesting kind of energy because it's very near of the consciential energy of us. The human has the consciential energy. This kind, the didactical difference between immanent energy and consciential energy is basically that consciential energy is linked to the human level of evolution, our level of evolution. So we have different people who have uh, super populations of human beings and even extraphysical and intraphysical beings. So we have all of the energy, the basic energy of this kind of the level of this person is the consciential energy. It's linked to consciential energy. So the immanent energy is the energy of the other element of nature, of the cosmos. Okay, and the cosmo energy, it's a really subtle kind of energy. It's I have perceived also that is very linked to the mental dimension, or the dimension of the mental soma, the body of the discernment, the body of the rationality. Okay, so you have opportunities to deal with these vast and different forms of manifestation of these energies, the immanent energy. So especially when we get in touch with nature, we, we can make experiments that can prove for ourselves that these kinds of energy exist, and we can manipulate in a positive way in order to help others, in order to help ourselves. So it's a really interesting way to evolution, to become lucid about these forms of manifestation of the energy. Because without energy, what we can do? Did you think about that? Without energy, what you have to do in life? Okay. Yeah, in general, people has some time of lack of energy, but in general, consciential energy uh, linked to affectivity, or linked to the our everyday life prevalence of is predominant the consciential energy. But sometime when we get in touch with nature, we will have the opportunity to improve our ability to recover our energy using the other kinds of energy, not only consciential energy. Is it clear? Okay, think about that. We are going to discuss and continue the presentation. Okay?
Roberto, just a brief comment.
Yeah,
Uh, I remember you have just said that everything in life we are very much connected with energy. And I remember once that I was traveling, and I got sick during this trip, and we had a walk. We had planned to go into a walk in a forest, and I decided
yes,
not to go because I was super sick. I was very, I couldn't walk properly. I had a headache. And someone came to me and told, "Well, I think you should go to the forest to walk with us." We were in Parque Nacional do Itatiaia,
Rio de
uh,
Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro. Yes, in the Rio de Janeiro state, and it's
Yeah,
a very natural park, very wild. And I decided to go because the person told me, "Well, you should go because there are lots of immanent energies that we call prana, and if you absorb prana, you will get better." And I wasn't I really didn't believe on that, but I went there and I had my own experience. In about 20 minutes, I was totally recovered from my sickness. I was really, really renewed, all over renewed. I couldn't believe that, but it
yeah,
really happened. And it's all regard because even felt better than I was before getting sick, more energized. My mind and and thoughts were more clear. So that's just to to illustrate what we are talking about.
yeah, exactly. Great example. Think about the one place that you can find in one place a huge amount of geoenergy, hydro energy, because the river, uh, phytoenergy, also and aero energy. We have different kinds of immanent energy in one place. The reserve or the park, you see if it's wide, it means that the quality of energy is better. That's okay.
That's it.
In general, you can recognize this, but we have to make an experiment. You did an experiment
That's it.
to test yourself.
You can continue then.
Okay, I will talk about this soon. So here, these kinds of energy, as you have said, Elian, we used to recover our energy by using our chakras. We have different chakras. Along I think you have already did some lecture about the chakras, okay? But just to remember, we here have different chakras that's used to connect with the different kinds of energy. For example, the coronal chakra and the cosmos energy. For example, the aero energy and cardio chakra. And for example, the phytoenergy, which the chakra can more facility can be more have more facility to get in touch. The Paulo chakras, for example, linked to phytoenergy. Okay, so when we recover, absorb these kinds of different kinds of energy, we also are connecting, improving our quality of sanity of the soma, the energosoma, psychosoma, and mental soma. I will explain to you a bit more because these kinds of energy can react. We don't know exactly how, but there is a reaction of our holosoma, even with effect in the soma. And so when we get in touch with these kinds of energy, we have lots of effects, especially if it's the place, the origin of this energy is positive. It's a positive place. We used to be of recover of our holosoma. So let's see some example of the phytoenergetic benefits. We have here different lines or different way of this effect. We have, for example, some tradition of the use of these kinds of energy. The most people doesn't realize that the plants, the forests have lots of different influence in our lives. So, for example, we have used to recognize, for example, in constructions of houses, bridges, some construction is related to the use of the trees, some furniture, lots of furniture, but also we have connections with the cultural subjects. So, for example, religion, ritual connections, movement, relational with one to another, creativity, stillness, meditations. So you have different kind of effect of the planet or of the plants in our everyday life. So let's reflect some example of this. Okay. Once I used to make different experiments with nature, with different kind of species. For example, comparing trees with shrubs, trees with herbs, and testing some kinds of characteristics. For example, the effect that each one has in my parapsychical signals. for example. Which plant has more connection with cardio chakra or corona chakra? Which affects in the way of my humor, my mood. And so I did some experiment in order to test these effects. And once I was testing different plants, and I realized that the forest as a whole has also a different effect. I will call it this here the uh, this term I coined this term aura forestalis. It's the effect of the whole forest over us. So I could recognize when I was just after made lots of and different kinds of experiment with different plants, also with clairvoyance and as sympathetic assimilation, coupling with the different species, as I had said. So after a day, after a lot of experiment, I realized that the forest, so as a whole, has an important effect as grouping all of these kinds of energy, different energy, as a real aura that can influence us in our mood, in our parapsychical signals. So it was a interesting experiment. And then, after years, I was researching about this and discovered a subject, an article uh, called this name Shirin Yoko. That means in English forest bathing. Forest bathing means exactly this, the effect of the forest in our body, but not only body, we used to research in conscientiology, in our holosoma, in all of the vehicles of the manifestation. So it's very important to recognize this because there is expression in intraphysical science that recognize this effect of the forest in our body. So I call it this aura forestalis. Look at here. Look, it seems a forest, okay? Uh, that's why the CIEC, the Center for Higher Studies of Conscientiology, when we started here to research, there was a few trees, and we start to plant and plant to recover vegetations and arborization, and now you can see something like that. It seems a forest, but is a picture of the CAEC here. It's a picture, it's a different viewpoint from upside. Here we have the viewpoint of one side of the CAEC. Okay, it seems that it's a forest, but it's arborization and reforestation. So it's why we did this, because it's so very important to get more and more phytoenergy to research and do our work as a volunteer. Okay. So what is the forest bathing? Forest bathing is comes from the Japanese expression shirin yoku, That means the effects, the lots of effects that can have repercussion in the body of a person. So it's expression related to the tradition of Japanese people to walk in the forest to improve. As Eliane had an example, talk to us an example. We have this in Japan. We have a tradition for long years ago. Already exists this tradition. So it's very interesting to realize that it was already exist. Eliane, you want to comment?
Yeah, Roberto, first
Yeah.
of all, I just want to ask you if there is some device that is making a noise in your environment. I think it looks like wow, I don't know. It's like a watch that is working. Am I wrong? Because it
No,
seems that there is a sound in the environment. Maybe it's the due to the transmission, but I can listen to this sound in the background of your environment.
no,
Okay,
no, no.
okay.
There is no watch here.
Nothing. Okay, okay then. So, what I was going to mention is that in Tokyo, they invested a lot of money in a forest inside the town with fishes and birds, and everything is protected, and so that the birds don't escape. They stay there, but it's a great environment for them. There is water, there is hydro energy, zoo energy, geo energy, and a lot of phytoenergy. Exactly because Japanese people have this culture that going into the nature to recharge the batteries, to absorb energies, and they really invested a lot of efforts to put that environment inside of Tokyo town.
Yeah, that's it. I just picked up these two articles just to comment. Then look at here. This article show us 24 experiment in forests, and they describe lots of benefits about just to walk in the forest. Another one, this article here, we have enough time to comment everything, but just to show you what the dimension of the importance of the phytoenergy. So you have here uh, a study of 200 articles, and they conclude that 28 from these 200, 28 has significant experimental research and show us lots of benefits in two aspects. Uh, the forest as environmental factor and the sport of walk. Uh, there was the combination, there is a combination, the walk and the forest, two connections. And then there are two basic effects, physiological effects and psychological effects. They realized during this experiment that lots of physiological effects. So, in cardiovascular effect, neuroendocrine, it means the hormones, our metabolism, the way of our nutrition, the immune defense or inflammatory defense, antioxidations, and electrical connection, electrical physiological index that is connected, for example, the synapses. So we have different effects in our physiology. And then the psychological effect has emotional, improving in our emotional state, the improving our feelings, in our recover, the level of recover. Sometimes we are down, sometimes we are so exciting. So the walking, the forest bathing or the aura forestalis can help us to balance, to get an equilibrium between the euphoric state or the depression state. So we have just some kind of some examples of this the benefits. Okay, the anxiety and depression, as I had said. So we have here the basic way that it occurs is related to absorption of phytoenergy. So there is no doubt that is related the effect of the phytoenergy. So just to fix and we have some the basic or special effects. We can reduce stress, decrease blood pressure, promote relaxation, enhance mindfulness and psychological well-being or our mood, our creativity. So make yourself experiments. You try, and you'll see uh, this benefit is really real. And Japanese used to say that the first bath act as a pill, as a pill of medicine, improving our immune system, endocrine system, and autonomic nervous system. So um behind this, we know that the phytoenergy,
We prefer to stay working in the computers or watching a series on TV instead of going out and taking all these benefits for our physiological health and well-being. So
yeah,
just for us to reflect that if we have all this available, and for example, we live in Foz do Iguaçu, that is a city that we have a lot of places that are very natural, very good. So we have to enjoy, take advantage of this.
yeah. I think one of the great challenge for us, for our evolution nowadays, is the self-organization. We, I think we should to be organized enough to divide our time to get in touch with nature, with technology, with the stress of the urban city, and then with the wild, the wild nature. So I try to do this, to be challenged, to be organized enough to deal with all of these kinds of energy at the same time or during the month, during the year, not only in the holidays. Now it's holiday, you go to the, no, but in
Yeah.
our everyday, okay,
Yes,
at least a week,
to make that a routine in our lives. Very
yeah,
good point. Very good, Roberto.
okay. So, where I can find out the phytoenergy? Think about this. Uh, uh, just here, oh, 1 minute. Here, you can see that 90% of the organic matter is represented by the vegetable, by the plants. So we have most of the matter of the nature of the planet here, this planet, planet Earth, 90% is linked to the matter of the vegetable, of the plants, algae, shrubs. So you can imagine what represents our connection with phytoenergy. It's very, very important, very, very strong. But our everyday life, our stress of the week, usually to make us to forget this. but I think it's a very strong information that we are connected in this planet. We depend on the 90% of plants. We depend on the animal represents so 10% of animals and humans. Okay, you are assigned in the animals group. So here we have 10% about all of kinds of animals. So the energy of plants, it's huge an amount enormous. So we can deal with our everyday, our routine. You can realize that we can make uh, different opportunity to absorb, to interact, to use this in our benefit. Okay, you don't wait to make you to use these kinds of energy. So we have the opportunity to use this in our everyday life. Okay, so here the basic connections with the biomass is it means the matter which keep the energy with them. The biomass, the vegetable biomass is the plant biomass, the plant matter, which retain the energy which came from the cosmos, from the sun, and is connected in the grass, in the shrubs, in the herbs, and especially in the trees, because the trees retain a bigger part of this energy. Okay, so the energy which came from the sun, we used to absorb after the connections with the plant. In general, animal and us absorb the energy which came from the plants during our food, our nutrition in our everyday, okay, in our everyday routine. So it's important to realize that the plants absorb only 1% the whole energy which came from the sun. So the plant, so the vegetation is very efficient in absorb energy which came from the cosmos. Okay, it's a really lesson for us. So just here to comment that the forest in the world, we have Brazil as one of the main country that has the most covered of vegetation, the different kinds of forest. So Brazil, if you don't know Brazil, it's important to come here to visit and make experiments in our forests. Okay, so let's see the ectoplasm. The most dense energy of the plants is called phytoectoplasm. And teacher Waldo Vieira, 2030, uh, defend this hypothesis that the lignin is a compound of the plant, which is related to the wood plant, especially the wood plant. The rigidity of the plants is directly related with the lignin. So the lignin makes the plant, for example, to stand up the plant and growth. For example, as a sequoia, which grows more than 100 height, uh, more 100 of height. Okay, so we have some expression related to phytoenergy and phytoectoplasm, phytoprojection, projection of the plant. We, for example, when we are in a state of discoincidence, we can, by the clairvoyance, to perceive the aura of the plants, the aspect, the energetic aspect of the plants. So we can make experiment to test this. If you are phytophilo or has phytophilia, you can, for example, be a green finger. You have facility to plant, to treat plants, to deal with the plants. So the phytophil or phytophilia. Phytotoxin, there is no thinking or way of thinking in the plant, but it's probably that there is a kind of rudimentary way of expression, like it was already did some experiment about the communication of the plants among them, and the plants with animal. There is different experiment already done. Conviviality is especially to phyto conviviality, to have a good relation with plants. For example, sometimes people used to be divided. Oh, I prefer plants. The other ones say that, oh, I prefer animals. I prefer dogs. The other prefer cats. But for the nature, it's important for the immanent energy. We have a good connection with all of these kinds of energy. Okay, the garden to be uh, a good relation with God. The garden can make difference in our home, in our house, because we have we can attract these different kinds of energy to our home. So you can plant different species and test and make experiment to recognize which plant you have more affinity. Okay. So what is the lignin? The lignin is the compound of the structure of the plant, which is mixed. There is some characteristics of the protein, some characteristics of the carbohydrates, but it's a complex compound. It was very, very important during the evolution of the plants because it was responsible, for example, for the origin of the forests. The forests exist after the lignin became present here after its evolution. Okay, so imagine our life without forest. For example, there was no petroleum or oil without forest. This petroleum oil, okay, oil that we have nowadays, it comes from more than 2,000 millions of years. The forest, which uh, was fossilized in that epoch. Okay, so
Roberto,
yeah,
excuse
you
me.
have a question?
We have
Yeah.
a question from Ligia Decker. Hello, Ligia. Thanks for the question. The question is, can you comment about practical influences of phytoenergy on our energetic sustainability, for example, on penta practices?
Oh, that is good. Good question. For example, the as much as plant you have, we have the plants. One of the main characteristics of the plants, it's natural or spontaneous donations of energy. The plants used to donate energy, as it donate oxygen, donate shade, fruits, leaves. So the plants used to donate energy spontaneously. So as much as you have these kinds of energy, it's more energy to the helpers or the extraphysical consciousness to link your energy with the energy of the plants and help others, help an environment, help a group to conduct these kinds of energy to be more effective in the assistance of the others. So if you have good plants around you, your penta will improve, certainly will improve much and much, because that's why I was saying that the CAEC we plant more and more and recover more and more vegetation. We have extraphysical consciousness here, specialized or expert in deal with these kinds of energy. So this extraphysical consciousness uh, help us and stimulate us to plant more and more, exactly because this. Okay, you can go on. Is it clear? Okay. So lignin, it's a compound, as I had said, inside of the plants, which can characterize the rigidity, the strong potential of the plants. So the hypothesis that the phytoectoplasm is linked to the to this compound. We have two kinds of compounds in the plants, the basic compounds, special compounds, cellulose and lignin. Lignin is stronger than cellulose. Cellulose is stronger, but lignin is stronger. So the hypothesis that is the phytoectoplasm is exactly this relation, because the lignin is stronger and has lots of benefits to the plant. So and also for us, there was here we have enough time to comment everything, but we have also here lots of benefits to the plants and to our life in our society. So lignin is present in our everyday life here. So for example, fuel, uh, stability of molecules, roads, applied in roads, have transformation in the evolution of the plants, as I had said, in the industry. So we have different kinds of functionality of the lignin. So and also a special effect that, as I was saying, about the applying of energy of the phytoectoplasm in our practical of assistance. So it's very, very important. Another one, it's also very important, the ability of self-regeneration. So we are comment that the ability of the plants to self-regeneration, it's a kind of manipulations of energy, because it's very difficult to kill a plant, because a strong for force of and the ability of self-regeneration. So it's really related and connected with the ability of self-regeneration. Okay. Once we have one question more, it's okay.
Oh, I
Is it,
am. I have my one question here, not a question but a comment, because you were saying that they really have, the plants have really this capacity of absorbing energy and managing energy. And I was thinking about the seeds that sometimes we eat seeds and they are considered to be very healthy, or sprouts when the seeds start to germinate and we eat sprouts and they are considered also very healthy. Yeah, I suppose because they are full of immanent energy, full of these elements. And the seeds, they also they can a seed. I remember I heard about there is a grass. There is very, it's considered not a, how do I say, a praga, né? A plague. It's
Yeah,
considered in gardens. This, the seed of this grass, there is very common here in our region in Foz do Iguaçu. There is um, very here. It's very strong grass. It takes more than 100 years. It
yeah,
leaves. It's able to germinate after
mhm,
100 years. If there is a seed somewhere with, in a place, for example, on earth without water, it doesn't germinate. But if you give him water, if you give the seeds water, it, after 100 years it can germinate again. So
yes.
it's very, very interesting. No animal can do that.
Yeah, it's a good example of the ability to concentrate energy. As seeds are high level of concentrations of energy. So that's why we used to feed feed seeds, and it's during all day only feeding seeds. There is a high level of nutrition. So seed, I think that I recognize that seed is can concentrate this energy in a high level.
So, Roberto, we have so well this questions here in the end. So I think we can leave them. We will have to leave them for our next live, for our next opportunity. I think you mentioned a lot of them. Most of these questions we you answered during this live. And would you like to let's make a very some closure, some endings, final concluding, because our time is over.
Okay, I can see here the yeah, there's a comment from Regina, okay, about the relations of with the reorganization, okay, is it?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, the use of helpers, okay, with the phytoectoplasm, and also related to reorganization, yes, because think about this, Regina, the immanent energy is really, it's more pure energy, so has less pollution from the human being. Urbanization is to clean the pollution of environment, of extraphysical environment, starts from the extraphysical environment, but also here in the intraphysical environments. So the urbanization aims to clean, to reorganize this environment. The use of immanent energy is fundamental, okay, for this. Think about I like to give an example related to our life here in America. Think about migration, the epoch of migration from Europe to America. What happened with the population of the world? The population get higher and higher after the migration. It's reurbanization practice because most of the that consciousness was in a state of extra physical a bad state in astrophysical environments. So where they were humanized, where in the place which is rich, very rich in phytoenergy. So think about this. I recognize and I think about this hypothesis after studying the epoch of the great navigations, the great migration from Europe to Americas. So I think phytoenergy is really can help us in the reurbanization. Also, because the plants, as I had said, has a strong ability to recover, to rebirth. So we can destroy forests and then few years after they can recover and continue to recover if the humans don't destroy again. Okay.
Regina has another question related to this one. I will
Okay.
read because I will read for our listeners. Nowadays, more and more forests are being destroyed. How do you estimate the impact on our living conditions and rear backs? How could we compensate? How could we compensate?
Yeah, this is a fact, but think about there is a relation about this destruction. The destruction of the forest is part of the consumption of the phytoenergy. We can't avoid it. In part, we can avoid. For now, for the other side, we have to compromise our responsibility to recover large parts of the of this use of energy because it's inevitable to consumption of these kinds of energy. So, in part of the destruction of the forest is related to reurbanization. There is no doubt because why? Because we have lots of consciousness rebirth. We have our number of rebirth. It's increased after, for example, the Second World War, increased lots, many times. So we have everyone needs energy to survive.
Yeah, but
A
I
great
think I
part,
suppose,
a
yeah,
great part of this energy came from the forests. Okay, you can say, yeah, you can.
yeah, yeah. My comment is that yes, I think you are right. It's a reflect of reurbanization and to the population growth, but this has a price for humanity, and
Yes,
we will have to pay the price.
yeah, we have to
Sooner
pay the
or
price.
later, we will have to pay the price. How? We are going to have to do something to replant things, to give more solutions, environmental solutions, to insert this topic each more and more in laws and education. We will have to deal with that in the future generations, and it's not going to be easy because if one thing is part of the other, there certainly there will be a time that this bill will come to us.
Yes, exactly, because the animal he birthed wants energy, have to survive, and so needs to consume energy. And now we have responsibility to use our rationality to control better, for example, the effects over the climate, the effect over the rivers, the oceans, everything in nature is connected. But the real price is the consumption, high level consumption of energy. So we have to balance our consumption and the way we treat the wastes, for example, the waste that we uh, lose in the nature.
Very good. So Regina is making a comment, and thanks Regina for the question. Thanks everyone who have been watching us. Ligia, great question. Ligia is congratulating you, Roberto. So people, I think we have just to thank very much for this great lecture, Roberto. Thank for sharing your knowledge with us. I hope we can have you back some other time here to continue talking about this, going more deep into details, or bring another topic. And well, we I hope you all can join us. So if you like it, this lecture, give your like to us, subscribe in our channel if you are new here. And I also would like to invite you for our next lives, because we will have on May 7th, that is a Sunday, 3 p.m. Brazil time, a lecture with Patricia Barbosa about out of body experiences. And on May 14th, Sunday, also 3 p.m., we will have a live in Italian. Muito Roberto,
Hi, I
say
wasn't
goodbye.
hear you. So I wish to thank you to your patience to discuss, to ask, and to stay with me during this time. So I hope to see you in another opportunity. And so thank you very much. I hope to enjoy this subject and start to to make a lot of experiment to deal with phytoenergy.
Very
Go
good.
on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.